take a seat. Everyone, please take a seat. The National Law. Thank you for being here. It's good to be together. It's good to be together. Even in this intense heat. So I'm especially proud of you for coming out tonight because it is really hot. And the service is less than an hour, so it should be okay. Tomorrow is another story. I don't think Elle or I will be wearing our official clothes tonight. There's a chance we won't even wear them tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. We don't want us collapsing into the question. So my apologies if you were expecting that. It is great to have you here. And we are going to go right to page 5. Because it's so hot, we're going to be skipping the fluff prayers that come before. So I'm going to ask you to please rise for the Baruch, page 5. turn to page 19, the Kadisha. Rise for the Kiddush on page 24. Standing for the Aleinu. Page 25.
Go
needed, because it's not Shabbat on the your site, this to read to you, but in recent days, you remember Maury Goldberg, and just this week, Linda Steyer, the mother of Alex Steyer, passed away, and we had to notice about that. I also want to list 8 men who died in combat today fighting Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And they are Captain Eitan Itzhak Oster, Captain Harel Edinger, Captain Itai Ariel Giat, Sergeant First Class Noam Barzilai, Sergeant First Class Ord Mansour, Sergeant First Class Bazar Ekin, Staff Sergeant Almken Terefe, and Staff Sergeant Ido Boyer, ranging in age from 21 to 23. Our hearts go out to all those who are in mourning, and we ask anyone who is in mourning or who has a Yortzeit to please rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Anyone else who wishes to can, of course, as well. It's on page 26. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shnei Rabbah. Ve'alman Yivrach Yeruteh, Ve'al Malchuteh, Ve'chayekom, V'yomekom, Chayekom Beit Yisrael, Ba'galah Yizman Karev Yivru. Ve'esh Shnei Rabbah Vorach, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitba'ar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Kutsha, La'ela, Nikover Hata, V'shivata, Tushbekata, V'nechamata, Damiran Ve'alma, V'imru. Yehesh Mama Rabbamin Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru. Oseh Shalom V'imrama, Kuyaseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who are mourning and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Actually, we're going to do now Psalm 27, and then I'll make some announcements, and the President will make some announcements about what's happening just after. Page 27. So, before we do the closing song, which is, first, it's not the closing song today. So, what's going to happen is, Garrett's going to give the formal announcements, then we're going to sing Yigdal, which is the last song in the Machzor. We're going to close your books, and then I'll be giving the sermon. The sermon itself will end with another song. The song is in English, and I'll be joined by not this year, the first AME choir. I'm sorry, that was only last year. This year, though, we have a beautiful family singing with me, as well as themselves. So I'll explain that in just a bit. So for now, I want to call upon the President of the Congregation, Garrett Schultz.
Shana Tova. I told the rabbi that he messed up my flow because I have a thank you here. They haven't done anything yet, but thank you in advance to the good people out of Plan and Nathan Charter back there for the performance we're going to see in a little bit. Thank you to the Mali First Interfaith Fund for the floral arrangements. Tomorrow, WTBA is sponsoring apples and honey for the little kids, so that'll be great. Thank you, Rabbi Boom and Cousin Yichal, and I'll go through my whole list tomorrow. But there's obviously a lot of behind-the-scenes work that goes into making all of these pieces happen. Thank you to Josh Mailman, who I assume is hidden on the other side of the stand there, for getting this whole camera set up and making it so that we can stream not only today, but year-round. And thank you for our security volunteers in blue vests, as well as our board greeters. If anyone's interested in becoming a security volunteer, please talk to me, talk to one of the folks in the blue vests, call the office. We can always use more help on that. And then just as a reminder, we do have the handbag or box food being collected downstairs for the Alameda County Community Food Bank. I realize that's a little bit more complicated with our bag checking process, but definitely still want to bring that in. Tomorrow and Friday should not be that bad for parking because our neighbors are nice enough to mostly be going off to work while we are here. But everyone should keep an eye out for emails next week on the parking situation for Kol Nidre and for Yom Kippur, because we have some arranged parking to be open in the cathedral for that. So keep your eyes open for that. So Shana Tova.
Thank you so much. A couple other reminders just for tomorrow. If you are a shofar blower, you know the calls. Feel free to bring your shofar. The final shofar blows during Kaddish Shalom Musaf is when we'll have a chorus, if you could call it that, of shofar blowers all at once. And then also Tashlich 5:15 with Sinai and Beth Jacob at Driving Park. Yigdal is on page 28.
Metim Yehayel Berov Haso
close your books. I mentioned I'm going to end with a song, but I'm kind of going to start with a song too. But the song's just a few words. It goes like this. Nachamu, nachamu, ami. Nachamu, nachamu, yomar Elohechem. I'm going to ask you to try it with me. I'll do a line, repeat it. Nachamu, nachamu. Try that. Nachamu, nachamu. Ami. Ami. Nachamu, nachamu. Nachamu, nachamu. Yomar Elohechem. Yomar Elohechem. All together. Nachamu, nachamu. Ami. Nachamu, nachamu. Yomar Elohechem. Comfort, comfort my people, says your God. These are the words of Isaiah chapter 40, words that we read every year immediately following Tisha B'Av as part of the Haftorah. It's literally called that Sabbath, the Sabbath of comfort, Shabbat Nachamu. I'll have more to say about that in just a moment, I promise. But for now, let me formally say L'Shana Tovah. Welcome to 5785, my 24th Rosh Hashanah here at Temple Beth Abraham. I know, it is amazing. Just look at the confirmation pictures. I looked really young. And I hope that 5785 is a year where you find some comfort from the traumas that we experienced in 5784, both as a people and as individuals. As most of you know by now, on Erev Rosh Hashanah, Can we go this way? This way? Okay, that's all. All right, anyway. What I do on Erev Rosh Hashanah every year is I introduce a theme that's going to be connecting all my holiday sermons together. Now, unfortunately, the theme of this past year has been October 7th and the subsequent trauma and surge of anti-Semitism. But I'm not making that the theme. I'm not giving 5 sermons on anti-Semitism or October 7th. I am going to give 1, but for the rest, we're going to take our cue for the theme from the prophet Isaiah. See, people think that the job of a biblical prophet is to predict the future. They do a little bit of that, but that's not their primary function. Their primary function is twofold. Depending on the time and circumstance, it is to disturb the comfortable and to comfort the disturbed. I think we learned this past year that although we are privileged in many ways as Jews in America compared to other minorities in certain ways and compared to where we've been throughout history, we are not nearly as comfortable as we once thought. So I don't need to disturb the comfortable. You're already profoundly disturbed. I don't need to tell you about the anti-Semitism because you're witnessing it in real time. I don't need to put it in your ears because it's already in your face. And you do not need to leave here at each service feeling sad and depressed because we've all been there way too many times this year. So for the next 10 days, I'll mostly be talking about this theme of comfort. Tonight we're going to do a careful look at those words from Isaiah, at Nachamu, Nachamu. Tomorrow we're going to look at our other rabbinic and biblical forebears to discover the ways that they found comfort, and it's all related to the 5 senses. On the second day of Rosh Hashanah, we're going to seek theological comfort by looking at what some of the greatest Jewish thinkers had to say about the most profound Jewish tragedies. Now, in Kol Nidre, I am going to talk about anti-Semitism. I don't want to, and you're going to say, well, you don't have to then, but I feel like I do. mostly for the purpose of documentation. Because I feel like if I don't talk about it in this forum this year, keenly aware as I am of history and this historical moment, and even the history of this congregation, as you come on Friday nights, I feel like I would be doing a disservice. I'd be shirking my duties as a rabbi. It's almost a form of denial. And so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk about the anti-Semitism today compared to what I said about it on Rosh Hashanah 22 years ago. And then finally on Yom Kippur morning, we're going to return to comfort. We're actually going to talk about Shiva. Now, why is that comforting? Because the whole purpose of Shiva is to comfort the mourners. And we're going to look at some of the patterns of Shiva, and can those rituals be applied to other times and circumstances as well. So that's the plan. So we're going to get started with Isaiah. Nachamu, Nachamu. I already gave you the context. I'll give you a little more of it. Right? We read it immediately after Tisha B'Av. There may be a few of you who don't know what Tisha B'Av is. It's the Jewish holiday of the 9th of Av, the day that commemorates all the tragedies of the Jewish people, but especially the tragedies of the first two temples and their destruction. So Isaiah tells the exiles, and by extension us, we're going to be okay. Really. One day, God will redeem us. God will return us to the land. God will return to us. Light will come out of the darkness. You can't see it yet, but it will be there. So that's the context. But why the repetition? Why does it say Nachamu, Nachamu? Why is that word listed twice? That's unusual in the Bible. The Bible is terse. It does not like to waste words. But here, it's written twice. So there are four commentators I want to share with you their thoughts. The first one, the Radak, as he's known, Rabbi David Kimchi, 1100s France, says it's obvious. You want to emphasize something, you say it twice. Ibn Ezra, writing about a century later in Spain, says no, each Nachamu is distinct. The first one means the comfort will come quickly. The second means the comfort will come repeatedly. Midrash Lamentations Rabbah. It says, well, the tragedy and the punishment are so severe, the comfort is we're going to need double the comfort, and it will come. But the one I'm most interested in, it's really quite radical. It comes from a rabbi named Rabbi Barachia in a midrash called Pesikta de Rabbati, where he says, don't read it as comfort, comfort my people, says God. Read it as comfort, comfort me, people, says God. So it's not just that people need comfort from God, but in this tragedy, God needs the comfort from the people. So I'm going to get very personal for a moment. It's obvious, it'll be no surprise, but it's still personal. This year was definitely the most difficult year that I have ever faced as a rabbi. Theologically, professionally, and personally. Now, I've had other theological challenges before. You might not think that someone like a rabbi who has a lot of faith would have theological challenges, but I've certainly had them. My first Rosh Hashanah was days after September 11th. And as a rabbi, I deal with tragedy a lot. Young death, suicide, tragic death. And these things challenge even a person of strong faith. Professionally, a rabbi's job can be difficult. I can deal with ungodly hours, religious apathy, a fair amount of criticism about the things I say or don't say, the things I do or fail to do. And then there's just sort of the regular professional challenge of being a solo rabbi for a nearly 500 household congregation and all the needs and opinions that go along with that. But to be honest, for 23 years here, I had never lost my energy or my drive or my focus
or my love for both what I do and for this community. Even during COVID-19, which burnt so many colleagues out that they left the clergy entirely, I found energizing and purposeful. But this year was different. This year, it was very hard not to descend into the darkness myself. So I followed the advice that were given by flight attendants right as you're about to take off, right? When they go over the emergency procedures, they say, please place the oxygen mask on your own face before attempting to assist others. And so I tried. I did a lot of self-care. I went running just about every day, even though I hate it. It's self-care. I consoled with and commiserated with lots of colleagues. We were all going through the same thing. Traveled extensively. I visited my sons at least a couple times. Karen and I went to Israel so we could witness firsthand the devastation of October 7th and volunteer so we could feel like we were doing something, however tiny that was. I prayed a lot. I listened to a lot of music, and I went to a lot of concerts. And all of it helped a little. But it was really hard to feel like I was supposed to take care of others when I was just so devastated and mournful myself. But I want to share what maybe gave me the most comfort. What gave me the most comfort was you, was our community. The way that you supported both me and each other. For me, you allowed me to continue to speak out and on behalf of Israel without attacking me, as happened to several of my colleagues, even while understanding that innocent civilian death in Lebanon or Gaza is still a terrible tragedy. And there's more than one way to be supportive of Israel and to be a Zionist. But even more so, you supported one another. And I was so comforted by the little things, like little messages that you sent each other in WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups. Like, I read those and I'm like, wow, first of all, that's true. And second of all, that you're there for one another, and that there's a safe space where you can vent about the disturbing things that we're all seeing. The ugliness of the Oakland City Council, or we'll be looking at Jacqueline right now, the Alameda City Council, or many of the other city councils, or how about the Oakland Education Association, or some of the things that went on in the classrooms, or how about the graffiti around Lake Merritt, or how about walking into a sea of keffiyehs at a coffee shop and hearing these horrible things said and reading these terrible signs. We had a place to vent, and knowing that you could vent to one another, and not only me, that gave me great comfort. And so I felt like we were mirroring that quotation of Rabbi Barachi in the Sikta the Rabbati, right? It's not clear. Is God taking care of and comforting the people, or are the people comforting God? Is the rabbi comforting the congregation, or is the congregation comforting the rabbi? And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You allowed me to persevere in a task that I take very seriously. Still, for all of us, it was hard to sit in the terrible silence of our friends. People who had spoken up for every other minority on earth. But when it came to the Jewish people, we heard mostly silence. And then, after a few weeks, I actually only wished that some of those people would have stayed silent. So disturbing and dangerous, actually, were some of the things that they said. But as I thought about it, and I had a couple experiences in the last week as well, I looked back upon the year and on the emails and the phone calls and the texts, And then when people said to me at my 40th reunion, just, are you okay? How were you this year? How were you this year? A news reporter before we got on air saying, I'm with you, I understand what you're going through. Ministers blessing me at concerts in Colorado for the difficult year we had. People tried. There were people who really did reach out, and we cannot forget that. It was not as many as we would have liked, certainly as many as I would have liked, but people tried. And again, we did at least have one another. So in the end, I kind of felt the truth of this meme that went around about 3 days after October 7th, which I'm going to adapt for now, which said that over the past year, we've learned as Jewish people that the world doesn't care about us as much as we hoped, but we also learned that we care even more about each other than we ever realized. And I really found that to be true. I mentioned earlier that I went to a bunch of concerts for self-care. To those who know me well, it will be no surprise that I went to 6 of one band. Right? That band is called the Erev Brothers. And in a moment, I'm going to share a song with the Gutkin family, with Megan Chartier, one of their newest songs. It's called You're Loved. And one of the taglines of that song is, I have felt alone, but I have never been. It speaks to what I was just talking about. Now, the song, of course, has nothing to do with anti-Semitism or October 7th or Judaism. It's about life and death and rebirth and loneliness and togetherness and all those kinds of themes. But you know, really good music will meet you exactly where you are and need to be. So, we're going to sing the song, as I mentioned, but I want to recite the first verse to you. Because in addition to the tagline that I just described, the first verse felt to me like it was speaking right to me, to the Jewish community, about anti-Semitism, about October 7th, but really about this phenomenon where you go into a restaurant and you overhear a conversation, or your friend says something, or you see a sign saying something just horrible about Israel, ignorant, and you don't know whether you should speak out and argue or cower in the corner. And if you're like me, sometimes you did one, and sometimes you did the other. So listen to the first verse. Listen to these words. Whether we speak up or we are silent, if we are willing or we are done, if we're courageous or we are cowards, we may be burdened, but we are loved. My friends, may 5785 be a year where we get some healing from the trauma that we experienced in 5784. May it be a year where you realize that you may have felt alone, but you have never been. Where you understand that though you may be burdened, you are loved. Shana Tova. Come on up.
Whether we speak up or we are silent, if we are willing or we are done, if we're courageous or we are cowards, but we are loved.
Whether we stay true and do for another, if we are hidden or we're discovered, if we're forgiven or we're forgotten, we may be lonely, but we are loved. Every stitch and seam, every wish and dream, even in tragedy, there lies divinity. Even as hope seems lost, it may be found again. I have felt alone, but I have never been. If you are standing or cannot stop moving, whether you're haunted, cannot remember, over the gravestone, under the rainbow, pain comes and pain goes, and we are loved. Every stitch and seam, every wish and dream, even in tragedy, there lies divinity. Even as hope seems lost, it may be found again. I have felt alone, but I have never If we are spirits or we are human, crossing the river or harboring change, if we deny it or if we face it, may we embrace it. We are loved.
Shana Tova.